This may seem ironic coming from me, as in the past I have talked about problematic perks and how I feel like those perks should be changed, and most of the time that comes across in nerfs. However, could we stop trying to nerf perks unnecessarily? So this is going to be one of my shorter rants, but I'm just kind of getting fucking sick and tired of sitting there and listening to people over and over and over again try to call for nerfs on perks simply because they don't like the perk. The only time a perk should be nerfed is when it falls into one of two categories. Number one, it either encourages an unhealthy way to play the game, which is not good for everybody else in the lobby, or B, it is so oppressive that there is no way to play around it. Old pain res, as much as I thought it was fine, I could kind of see them nerfing it. If you're not aware, pain res used to not have a token system. It used to not be only 4 times a match, and it used to be you could do it on every single person on every single hook. So you would basically find a scourge hook somebody on that, and up to literally 11 times in the match, 12 times technically, you could blow the same generator over and over and over and over again. And this got really frustrating really fast because survivors had no recursive action, and just don't go down was not a productive counterplay. But when behavior changed it, they changed it into something that is far more healthy for the game. Now it only happens 4 times a match. You have to be next to a scourge hook, and it's just one of those things where, you know, you might get fucked. I have had matches where I got 1 use of pain res, not because I couldn't down anybody, but because hook RNG royally fucked me. And behavior nerfed it in a recent patch because people were still complaining about it. They were complaining about it being combined with Pop Goes the Weasel, but pain res wasn't the problem in that combo, but people were calling for pain res to be nerfed. Another great example of a perk combo that was very unhealthy for the game and needed to be nerfed was the background player, not a particular combo, but background player. 200% speed would let you come from literally halfway across the map. Outside of a 32-meter radius, you could literally come from that distance and still get the save. And that just wasn't good, because the way to counter something like people coming in for pallet saves, flashlight saves, flashbang saves, is to stop and look around the area before you pick up the person you're about to pick up. But if in old background player, you could just wait. You're not checking a 32-meter radius as the killer. No one is doing that. Another great example of this was the For the People Buckle Up combo, which had to be nerfed because the killer had no recourse. These are all examples of unhealthy perks that are unhealthy for the game and way too oppressive to where they needed to be nerfed. But something like Adrenaline didn't need to be fucking nerfed. Adrenaline was fine. Adrenaline didn't encourage, and it wasn't oppressive. Yeah, it sucked if you made it to end game and, you know, the person you're chasing who's injured got their adrenaline proc. But like, some people were like, oh, well, I hated that it healed off of hook. Why was that a problem? Their base kit borrowed time saves them 99% of the time anyway. Being healed off of hook doesn't do that much for you, especially if you're like chasing other people. They're already going to reset, right? Like, I don't think it was that bad. I do like that they removed that it wakes you up against Freddy, because Freddy needs all the help he can get, but Adrenaline was a perk that was perfectly fine. The other example that I gave was whether or not a perk is encouraging unhealthy playstyles. A big one for this one is fucking Distortion, and I hate talking about Distortion, because every time you try to talk about Distortion and why it's a problematic perk, people just don't listen. They just don't fucking listen. They address points that were never made. They completely make up scenario. First off, actually, you know what? Let's talk about Distortion for just a fucking moment. Let's talk about it, bro. Because the next time somebody is like, oh, Distortion is needed because there's 100 aura reading perks in the game for killer, I'm gonna fucking snap. The killer is one person. They can use 4 aura reading perks max. Meaning they have no slowdown, meaning they have no chase perks, meaning they have nothing. All they have is information. That's all they got. If they run a full 4 perk or reading build, all they have is information. And your aura getting red is not going to kill you. It just gives information to killers who like having information. That's it. That's all it does. And most of the fucking aura reading perks are not even fucking viable. Most of them are not worth running. So don't fucking be here. Oh, there's so many aura reading perks. They can only use 4. And the more aura reading perks they use, the better for you. The only reason to not like aura reading perks is if you're the person that likes to sit in the far corner of the map, not doing shit. But that's the whole problem with Distortion, is that it encourages an unhealthy playstyle, but it also causes bad things to happen to your team. If you have Distortion and the killer can't find you, because not only does it hide auras, it also hides scratch marks whenever it procs. If the killer simply can't find you, guess what they're gonna do? They're just gonna go for the rest of their team. And so your team ends up getting fucking tunneled out because you wanted to cower in a corner because you don't want to learn how to play the fucking game. And the thing is whenever we talk about nerfing Distortion, all we're really talking about is just changing the way tokens get gained or capping tokens off, right? I would say cap it to like 10 uses per match or something, or 5 uses per match. 7, somewhere in the middle, somewhere between 3 and 10, right? Cap it off to that much, or make it to where you gain tokens while in chase, because being able to have an infinite supply of aura reading prevention is ridiculous. Oh, well, if you don't like Distortion, you could just bring X perk here. That doesn't always work that way. Someone one time told me like, oh, Gearhead just eats through Distortion tokens. Not if they're doing the gen within your fucking, within your terror radius. And not if they don't get a lot of skill checks. And not if they're not doing a gen. Like, if they're like, oh, he's got Gearhead, and then they get down to 1 token, then they get off of it, they go back and they get their tokens from fucking crouching right next to you, playing with their penis, then it doesn't fucking matter. But that's not what this rant's about. This isn't a Distortion rant. What this rant about is the way that people just start calling for unnecessary things. I brought up adrenaline earlier. You guys got adrenaline nerfed by bitching way too fucking much. You got pain res nerfed by bitching about it way too fucking much. The other day, somebody in my chat was like, I think we should give life an activation. Like, you have to vault 3 times before life activates. I said, that's completely fucking unnecessary. Why would you do that? That's stupid. Why would you ever do that? And they're like, well, I just don't like the fact that it's earned. Not every perk has to be earned. Not every perk has to have some complicated process where it gets this activation, and then you have to go out of your way to fucking like make it useful or something like that. Like, not every perk needs that. Some perks just need to function. They just need to do the things that they do. Like, imagine if someone tried to tie this shit to Lethal Pursuer or Corrupt Intervention. Like, oh, at the beginning of the game, it doesn't proc, but it'll proc after you, like, enter your first chase or some stupid shit. Like, imagine trying to do that. Oh, well, Life is not the same as Lethal or Corrupt. Okay, fine. Let's compare it to Save the Best for Last. Imagine if someone was like, oh, to activate Save the Best for Last and gain stacks, you have to hit 4 survivors first, all 4 survivors individually, or you have to kick like 3 generators and then you can start getting Stabiffle token. That would be dumb. That would be stupid. Some perks just need to work. They just need to function, and it's fine if they do. Life is a perk that can only be used realistically not even every 40 seconds. It depends on how long you're in chase, right? So it gets used one time, and yes, it's frustrating, it extends chases, but that's what perks are for. I think that a lot of people, the way that they view perks is they view them as something that is like not supposed to be augmentations to the game. Because like, I feel like a lot of people who view perks in this way where, oh, if the perk does something really good, then it's automatically needs to be tuned down to like be limited in some capacity. And the truth of the matter is that that's simply not how this game works. Perks are, if you play trading card games, perks are exactly like trading card games. They are there to circumvent the base rules of the game. The entire point of perks is to overcome the rules of the game and do things that would help you win the game. Perks are supposed to be strong. They're not supposed to be overpowered. They're not supposed to be oppressive, but they are supposed to be strong. And I'm sick and fucking tired of sitting here watching people flail around trying to come up with limiters on perks. I've heard people say that exhaustion should be permanent until you're fucking downed, because they're tired of things like dead hard and sprint burst and all that. Listen, if you hate exhaustion perks so much, we just got an extremely good killer perk that causes exhaustion. Vanquid Anguish, I think it is. It's the Crow perk from Vecna. There you go. You could do that. You could do Mindbreaker. You could do Genetic Limits. You could do Blood Echo. You literally, there are exhaustion perks. There are perks to cause exhaustion in the game. I do think that they should have a general perk that causes exhaustion, don't get me wrong, but there are perks to cause exhaustion in the game if it's that much of a fucking problem to you, okay? In my opinion, trying to consistently put limitations on perks is what kills perk design, and it's what kills variety. One of the things I hate about the current perk design is the tier system. It stifles creativity. It makes the grind way too fucking long. It's meaningless. We need to get rid of perk tiers, right? Because every single time behavior wants to come up with a perk, they have to sit there and come up with numbers that they have to change instead of just letting the perk exist. Sometimes it's cool to just let perks exist, and we shouldn't have to come up with different tiered numbers and shit like that. It's just one of these things where we need to stop limiting creativity and start expanding it. We need to stop nerfing every goddamn thing and putting more buffs in places where they belong. Behavior loves their fucking spreadsheet balancing. I would love if they would go through the lesser used perks and start buffing the fucking things to usability or reworking them. But that's all I have for you guys today. Let me know what you think down below. And as always, a great big special thank you to my channel members listed on screen now. If you want to find out how to become a channel member today, get awesome perks like seeing videos early, merch discount codes, and more, then please click that join button down below. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next one. Can't get enough daily Dead by Daylight content? Then check out my second channel, The Kaiser Extras, where I upload gameplay footage, me reacting to your Dead by Daylight clips, and more. We also have a new short that goes live every single day, so you can catch up on all the greatest clips from stream. We'll see you over there. Link is in the description.